Hey guys, Mr. A here. Today we're going to talk about finding the mean, median, mode, and range of sets of data. First, what is mean?
The homework today is only 2 questions. Each one has 26 parts.
Why would you do that?
Well, okay, yeah, that was pretty mean. Mean is just the average of any given set of data. In order to find it, you're going to have to take that big set of data of whatever numbers you have. You're going to want to add them all together, find their sum, and then you're going to divide them by however many pieces of data you had to add together. Let's take a look at what that might look like in a real problem. In this example, we've got a set of data that includes all of the numbers which are divisible by 5 so long as they are less than 35. We've got 6 numbers up here. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 as all of our data points. What we're going to do is, step 1, is add them all together. 5 plus 10, that's 15. 15 plus 15, that's going to give me 30. 30 plus 20, that's 50. 50 plus 25, that's 75. 75 plus 30, that's going to give me 105. We take all those numbers, add them together, gives me 105. All right, we're halfway there. The only other step we have to do is divide this number by however many numbers we just added. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. We're going to take 105 and we're going to divide that by 6. Stick our 105 there, divide it by 6. 6 goes into 1, it doesn't. 6 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 6 gives me 6. Going to subtract that. That gives me 4. Carry down my 5 gives me 45. 6 goes into 45 7 times. That's going to give me 42. Subtract that gives me 3. But we can't stop here. In order to keep going, we're going to put a decimal right here. Turn our 105 into 105.0, so keeping the number exactly the same. While we're doing that, we're going to add a 0 directly above itself in the quotient. And then we'll continue onwards. Carry down our 0. Gives me 30. 6 goes into 30 5 times. We subtract that, giving us nothing else at the bottom. So our final answer for the mean or average of this set of data should be 17.5 or 17 5/10 or 17 1/2. Let's take a look at the next part, the median of a set of data. The median is technically another way of finding the average. The average is just finding some midpoint of a set of information or data. There's a couple different ways you can get to that centerpiece of data, by the way. One way, which is blunt and rather ineffectual, is simply crossing out one number on each side until you are left with nothing left but the number in the middle. Like this. We've crossed out 3 on the left side, 3 on the right side, and it leaves us with one number left over. This means our median is going to be 95. But there's a better way. You see, we have an odd numbered set of data. We've got 7 numbers lined up here. So, while we have all of this here, we're going to actually just count to the 4th position. The reason we're counting to the 4th position is the number 7. If you lined up 7 sticks, 7 planks, whatever you want to imagine, if you line up 7 things, you should have an uneven amount if you were to try to split it in half. You'll have one number that's being cut in half. That number that's being cut in half is your median. So we can count from whichever direction we want. 1, 2, 3. There's our median. 1, 2, 3. There's our median again. It doesn't really matter which direction you count from, but there is one thing that is important about the median. In order to find your median, your data must be in order from least to greatest. You will not be able to find the median nearly as easily, if at all, if all of your data is not listed from least to greatest or greatest to least. It's just not going to work out. If all of these numbers were jumbled together, and I happen to have the number 98 right here in the middle of all of that data, if you weren't paying attention, you might accidentally count to the 4th position and say that 98 belonged as your median. Make sure you're keeping up with that. Of course, you're not always going to have an odd amount of data. You're sometimes going to have an even number of data points. Whenever this happens, all you have to do is find the average of the two numbers that do lie in the middle. Take this set of data, for example. I took the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's an even number amount of data. We have 6 data points here, so that's a bit of a problem. We're going to get both of these numbers lying in the middle. And no, you cannot have more than one median. What you have to do is you have to find whatever number lies right in the middle of the two numbers that are in the middle right now. So, in this case, you don't have to do very much. 4 and 5, all you're doing is finding the number right in the middle. What's halfway between 4 and 5? The answer should be 4.5, or 4 5/10, whichever way you prefer to say it or write it. Now this is what you're going to get if you were to find the average of 4 and 5. That is, take the number 4, take the number 5, add them together to get 9, divide 9 by 2, since that's how many numbers we added, and that will indeed get us 4 5/10 as well. So whichever way you prefer to go about it, this way works whenever your numbers are really close together, like 4 and 5 are, but maybe a little more tricky if the two numbers that happen to be your median were more spread out and more tricky, like, for example, 17 and 34. It might be worthwhile then to actually write out the average of those two numbers rather than trying to count and estimate where that center point should be. Next up is the mode, and the mode is simply the most frequent number that appears within a set of data. Mode equals most. The mode is the most. So I've got two examples lined up right here. This example, I have a set of data that looks like this. We've got 1, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. So in this set of data, it's kind of clear that our mode is going to be 4, since that number appears 3 times right here and appears more frequently than any other number. My mode is 4. I included a second example on this slide because sometimes, this doesn't happen very often, but sometimes you will have multiple modes. So if you look at this set of data, we have 3 2s over here, but we've also got 3 7s over here. Unlike the median, where you had to find the average of your two numbers that were caught in the middle, your mode can be multiple numbers. In this case, the number 2 and the number 7 are both going to be my mode for that set of data. You guys doing okay so far? Let's go ahead and move on to the last slide, range. Range is simply the difference between the largest and the smallest data points that you have in any given set of data. This is how you will measure variation, or how widespread all of your data is going to be. Here is our last example. We've got this data right here. We've got a 40, 2 60s, a 70, 75, 85, 95, and 100. Range or variation is just going to help us find how far apart our largest set of data is from our smallest. So we take our 100, we take our 40, we subtract it, and we should get an answer of 60. The total range for this set of data is going to be 60. All right, guys, that's it for me for today. Please stay tuned. Coming soon, we're going to be talking about quartiles and MAD, mean absolute deviation. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, this is Mr. A. Have a nice night.